You know how they talk about Florida man, which is the mythical bad thing about the state of Florida? Well, I prefer to say that Dave Rubin is Freedom Man from Florida, which means he's got all the awesomeness of the trucker hat with all of the... Anyway, you get my point. Hello, Dave Rubin. How are you?
Well, one of the first things that I did when I moved to Florida was quite literally buy a trucker hat with a insignia of the Florida map right up here so that everybody that saw me, knowing I came from Cali, I wanted to be very clear about my feelings about freedom and Florida and alligators and iguanas and such.
Now, we know that the presidential election is November of next year. The start of 2024 is when the formal nominating process takes place. Probably Biden, who knows, Ron or Don, but we all know that every day between now and then is about trying to blow up Donald Trump. We have started this process very early and very loud. It feels like everything is at not 11, 12, and I don't know if the machine's got 13 on it.
Oh, I promise you the machine has 13 and the machine has 14 and the machine has 27, my friend. We are just at the beginning of this thing. You know, the last couple days have been really, really bizarre.
This idea that getting arrested is good for you politically, I understand the people that are all in on Trump who think that it sends everyone crazy and everyone rallies around Trump. But the simple question, Dave, is that anyone who didn't vote for Trump in 2020 in Arizona, why will they vote for him now? The same in Georgia, the same in Wisconsin, the same in Pennsylvania. And while he's, on his way, it's either him or Ron DeSantis for the Republican nomination, he's not going to win again because, again, people already made their choice in 2020. I say that with a heavy heart because I'm fully Trump literate and we all don't want to give into the machine. But people need to stop kidding themselves that him being arrested for anything is a good thing.
Look, there could be a short-term bump in that enough people who are frustrated with the system will rally behind him. And it goes to, the heart of what he's always talking about, sort of the deep state and the machine that operates against everybody. And he always says, they're really going after you. They're not going after me. I'm just standing in the way. So there's, I think, a short-term value to him. But the guy obviously doesn't want to end up in jail. And I just want to say very clearly, again, this would be beyond unjust and a gross overreach of power. But your point is totally correct. We kind of know what the ceiling is with Trump. We know he got 75 million votes last time. The question is, does he get any new votes? Where is the new Trump voter? I think there's a certain amount of people that have decided to leave the Trump train and go elsewhere. But I don't know who the new person who suddenly is like, it turns out after all these years, I actually do like the guy. I don't know where that person is. However, the basement with Trump could certainly drop out, where a whole bunch of people are just like, I've had enough of the shenanigans, rightly or wrongly, I just can't take it anymore. So I think you're making the right point. He's a known quantity now. When he ran the first time, he was a completely unknown quantity. Now he's a known quantity, and there are other good candidates. Obviously, I put DeSantis at the top of the list, assuming he's running. I happen to like Nikki Haley, too, Vivek Ramaswamy, who I just mentioned, and we'll see who else jumps in. But I would say, as a let's say, right-leaning person or some quasi-conservative, something like that, I am very proud of the people that it looks like we're going to put up there at the moment and let them have at it. And, hopefully the best person wins. And no matter who they put up there, it's going to certainly be better than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Pete or anyone else.
Yeah, you got a deep bench versus clearly a person who's passed it. Did you see that video of Joe Biden trying to read a poem throughout the week, just taking 500 goes at it? Yet what I love watching is the left-wing people on television pretending this bloke's at the height of his political powers.
And every window on every country. Let me start this over again. I'm getting so intimidated by you being here. And always one moon, like a silent drum, tapping on every rooftop and every window of one county.
Meantime, while he's reading poetry poorly, China and Russia are meeting face-to-face, completely cutting him out of the Ukraine question.
Watching Xi and Putin meet this week, and then subsequently, as the meeting was ending, basically Xi said to Putin on the way to the car, he was like, look, this changes 100 years of worldwide diplomacy. That is scary stuff. And, to Trump's credit, it did not happen under him. Not only did, China and Russia not come together under him, but there was no war in Ukraine. As a matter of fact, as you know, obviously, Russia took Crimea from Ukraine under Obama. Then we had 4 years of nothing until Biden, and now we've got this, what has cost America about $160 billion war that we're obviously in. We've not declared it, but we're obviously at war. At some point, if you fund a war and give all the weapons, you're kind of at war at some point. And also all of our spokesmen keep saying, well, we'll just fund it forever. So, we're kind of at war. But yes, that was a really chilling moment, because you can see that as America either steps back from the world stage, I don't even think that's quite right to describe it, as America's leadership in the world is called into question. That's a better way to describe it. You're going to see new alliances, and China and Russia clearly don't fear whatever the United States might do with this new alliance. And that's a huge problem, not only for us, it's a huge problem for the UK, it's a huge problem for you guys. Any Western nation that is now seeing a new alliance that is far more based in communism than capitalism, this is a problem for everybody.
Well, also, you make a good point there about the fact that effectively the West is at war. The United States is at war with Russia. There's this proxy war happening in Ukraine right now. That you can go to war but not fill out the paperwork. But if you fill out the paperwork incorrectly for how you pay off the porn star, that's the crime. Don't you love the way it works? Is there any accountability about the money? Anyway, now also,
it's mostly about receipts, apparently.
Yeah, correct.
It's like that's
correct.
What it's really about. You have the receipt on this thing.
Yeah, did you see the pay lady? Bring it with you. Show working, as our maths teachers used to say. So also, particular absurdity this week when the cast of Ted Lasso is brought out by the White House to talk about mental health. But then, of course, there's this African reporter. And isn't it fascinating that an African reporter claiming that he's not getting any recognition from the White House? If that had been Kayleigh McEnany or the Trump administration, we would have had, a full-time job being offered on MSNBC now. But because this bloke decided to yell at Jean-Pierre, silence. Yeah.
What you are doing, you are making a mockery of the first American.
Decorum, please.
It's been 7 months. You've not called on me. You've done my messages. I'm saying that's not right. That's not right.
On times, welcome, guys. Welcome to the press briefing room.
That's not right. This is not China. This is not Russia. This is the United States. This is the White House. It's been 7 months. I sent you emails.
The rest of us are here too, pal.
It's been 7 months. You guys have not done anything for me.
If you have grievances, you should bring them to her later.
I have
right
done
now,
that. I've done that. All my emails have been ignored.
And the press corps is tired of dealing with this.
It isn't about you, Simon. Understand that you get questioned all the time and you don't understand what it is to sit here for 8 months and being discriminated against. Understand that you're in the front row and you feel comfortable and you get questioned all the time. But there are people in the back who don't get any questions.
It's a really rather extraordinary moment because, she basically, Karine Jean-Pierre, goes in front of the White House press corps, and she goes to the same people every day. She goes to all the friendly reporters, and then she throws one question usually to Peter Doocy, who's the Fox News guy. So obviously you're going to have an oppositional, one oppositional question. Everything else is basically, hey, Karine, what color is your dress today? And we just love you so much. What's your favorite color? Something like that. And what happened here was really great because this guy, and his name is slipping my mind at the moment, but this African reporter, he's been at the White House for months and months now. They called on him a couple times about 6 months ago and subsequently have just iced him out. And he basically said, enough's enough. You're only calling on the same people over and over. And, he muddled it a little bit because he said this is a violation of the First Amendment. It's not quite a violation of the First Amendment to not call on somebody, but his umbrage with the situation was quite right, because the idea that you're only going to go to the friendlies, these aren't press conferences anymore. They're just PR stunts, which are very different things. So, what was the really depressing part of it, though, wasn't just her dismissive way of talking to him as if he was a child. It was the way the other reporters, did you notice this, Paul? The way the other reporters in the room started lecturing him about how he should behave. And it's like, man, you're all working for her. You're supposed to be working for the people and getting answers for us. Instead, one guy in this room has the cojones to do what's right, and you're trying to put him down. So it was a bad day for American journalism.